Good afternoon. It is Thursday, May the 26th, right before the Memorial Day holiday weekend. I wanted to make this video today to talk to you about some things that I've been seeing on the internet, that I've seen on YouTube and on mainstream media last night and this morning. I was watching a Kyle Kulinski video where he was reading some tweets from a person who was explaining that, or claiming that the police would not do anything to go in and save these children down in Uvalde, Texas. Hope I'm saying that right. And I've covered this. I've covered this several times. In fact, my very first podcast here on YouTube back in September about defunding the police, I covered this. So in these tweets that Kyle was reading, somebody was making a statement about how apparently there was a time difference of about 30 to 40 minutes, possibly an hour, before the police went in and killed the gunman at this elementary school. And then they went further, and I think even on the news, they were talking about how parents wanted to go in and save their children, but were held back by the police, told them not to go in. And so like even a tactical team had showed up and apparently nothing happened. And there's a lot of outrage. I don't know if Kyle was reading tweets or if it was his own commentary that these officers need to be fired or disciplined or whatever, or even if you try to sue any of these people, for not acting. And I covered this. I've talked about this time and time again. The Supreme Court and the United States court systems have made it very clear that the police do not have a constitutional obligation or duty to protect you. It's not their job. That's why in my first video, I even asked, why do we need the police? Are they a financial gathering arm of local government? Come to find out that's mostly what they do, writing tickets. It's a travesty. This is heartbreaking. I'm not trying to talk about gun rights and gun control and gun bills or any of that. I'm just wanting you to know it is not the police's duty to get between you and harm's way anymore. I don't know that it ever was. I don't know if Hollywood's to blame, that we have this image in our head, that's what the police are supposed to do. They are not our personal Secret Service agents. They're not going to jump in between us and a bullet. They have families of their own to think about. They have children at home. They're not going to put their life on the line for you or me. That's not their role. So I asked, why do we even have them? Because on the other side, when the fire department shows up, they don't pause. They don't hesitate. They go blindly into a burning building, whether there's people in there or not. It can be an empty building where you and I might say, oh, just let it burn. I'm not going to risk my life. They don't do that. They go in to get a dog, a bird, children, people, whatever. Those are the heroes. I don't know where this comes from in culture or, pop culture or social media or entertainment, that we all think that police officers are going to land like Iron Man between us and the villain and be like, stay back, citizens. I have this. It's not their job. I talked about the, Max Gilliam, the subway stabber in New York. This was years ago. Attacked a man on a subway train. The police were right there and watched the whole thing, did not intervene. He had a knife, they had guns. And he literally almost stabbed this man to death, stabbed him multiple times. Something kicked in, the fight or flight mode, survival instinct, something. This man was able to protect himself, defend himself, and get the knife out of Maxim's hand and save himself. And another bystander helped save that guy with napkins to help him stop the bleeding. Police did nothing. In fact, in all the news coverage, the police were praised as the heroes for saving the day. This gentleman tried to sue the New York Police Department, saying that these guys didn't do anything to protect him, that they were actually lauded as the heroes. And the court system said, nope, not their job. I covered story after story after story. Mom called the police somewhere and said that her husband had abducted her children, took them someplace, and was probably going to murder them. The police, very nonchalantly and cavalierly, guy showed up hours later in a pickup truck or a vehicle with his dead children in front of the police department. Could have been stopped. Parent reported abuse of a child. Nothing. I mean, it was on and on and on. I've covered this time and time again. I don't even know why we have police. They don't do anything. They write tickets. They are a financial funding portion of your local government anymore. They just write tickets. So I just want you to be clear that if you think this, you're wrong. I made a video not too long ago about how in Houston, Texas, in Austin, they said don't call 911 anymore. That the Houston sheriff commented, and I've got all this. I've got links. It was my I have a video, like I said, about no more 911 in Austin, where the sheriff of Houston said, if somebody's trying to break into your house or if somebody's trying to kill you, you better pray to your God, because we can't help you. They'll come investigate after the crime is over. That seems like all they do. We're just going to, be detectives after the fact. So heartbreaking that these dads that were apparently there in Texas yesterday or the other day could not go in and save their children. I would have ran past the cops. What are they going to do? Shoot you? No. It's heartbreaking because on the news, they were saying something about how these guys said, let's go. And it took me right back to 9/11, where these guys, on the airplane in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, were going to try to rush the attackers that had box knives. We saw how that ended up. It's a tragedy. It's a travesty. To protect and serve is a myth. It's a motto. I talked about that in my first podcast. It was a contest in the 50s for the LA Police Department to come up with a new motto for the force. And I guess they put a bunch of, things in a fishbowl and fished one out. I don't know how they did it. But that's what it was. It was literally just a contest for a motto, amongst all the police officers. And they picked one detective or sergeant's, offering to protect and serve. And that's not their job. Their job is not to protect us. That's gone off of almost every police car throughout the country now. Even in Nashville, our police cars here say like Nashville's Guardians or Guardians of Nashville. That's it. So we have bigger problems other than gun laws and gun rights and mental health issues, because this is what conservatives and gun advocates will use, and they do it all the time. That this is why we need guns as citizens, to protect ourselves, because the police won't be there. And depending on how big of a city you live in or how small it is, varies your response time. So if you live in Mayberry, you think Andy and Barney will be there in about a minute. But if you live in Nashville or Memphis or New York, it could be 45 minutes to an hour, depending on if somebody's nearby or, there's all kinds of things. So just what makes this harder for us. And I'll talk in the future about my ideas and suggestions of how we can handle these things and how we can protect ourselves, how you don't need guns, that this gun culture is part of what's led to this problem. And it's not about mental health issues and background checks. This kid passed 2 background checks and a third by the ATF when he bought a second rifle. So background checks aren't going to change anything. We'll never get rid of murder. So even if we take all the guns away, yes, that's what people say. They'll use a knife, they'll use a hammer. Well, guess what? People, it's more likely that somebody's going to try to, to stop somebody with a knife and a hammer and a sword or scissors or a pencil. If John Wick's trying to attack you with a pencil, you're more likely to go after him than somebody with a gun. A teacher can get between her students and somebody with a knife. And hopefully, by the time, whatever's happened, somebody has come to help. But a teacher can't do that against a gunman. And then what? We arm the teachers? Oh my God. Then what happens when the teacher snaps one day because Johnny didn't do his homework for the third day in a row? And goes directly to corporal punishment and makes it capital punishment. This is not funny. This is sad. It's a travesty. But when I'm seeing all these people who've got a background in the media, which I don't, discussing this and the outrage of how these police didn't do anything, why are you surprised? This is not news. It takes 1 minute of research to find these things out. Case after case after case after case. Police department sued, found not guilty. Police department sued, found not guilty. Somebody, the judge says, I'm dismissing this case. We're not even going to let you proceed because it's not their job. They're not our personal referees. So this is not about finding answers. This is not about solutions. I just wanted you to know in no uncertain terms, so you can get that out of your head, that they're not here to protect you. They're not superheroes. This is the most craziest time of my life at 49 years old. The last 3 years, with everything that's been going on, just upside down. Be safe, be aware of your surroundings, protect your children, do whatever you need to do. It's on you, it's on me, it's on us. We have to look after ourselves. So for today, that's all I can offer you. That and a little fact of that's not their job. As hard of a pill as that is to swallow, and as frustrating that is, and that might fill you with rage, I understand all of these emotions. But that's the truth. They're not here to look after us. Stay safe. Look after yourselves. We'll talk to you next time.